Can you hear me now? Sorry, girl. But sometimes when I plug in my headphones, it messes up my broadcast. I'm like so tired from yesterday.
President Trump's order suspending travel from 7 countries. And speaking yesterday morning before a convention of county sheriffs and police chiefs, the president called the courts political. And it's really
Ooh, French wine sounds good.
We have a court case that's going on so long. As you know, in Boston, we won it with a highly respected judge and a very strong opinion.
I hope Ruby made it to her destination okay.
Let's just say they are interpreting things differently than probably 100% of the people in this room. I'd like to almost know, does anybody disagree when I read this? He made by proclamation.
I know, Christine, that would be so amazing.
So here it is. People coming in. Suspend the entry of all aliens.
Live review 2014. Ooh. Christine, that would be so amazing. One of these days I'm gonna have to go to playlist.
I listened to lawyers on both sides last night, and they were talking about things that had just
Cool.
nothing to do with it. I listened to a panel of judges, and I'll comment on that, but I will not comment.
You're just chilling, Stanley.
Certainly one judge, but I have to be honest that if these
Getting a
judges
Blizzard song. I know.
wanted to, in my opinion,
I know.
help the court in terms of respect to the court, they do what they should be doing.
Damn it, you're funny.
I watched last night in amazement, and I heard things that I couldn't believe.
Showing like a villain in the Florida East.
Had nothing to do with what I just read.
How do villains chill?
I don't ever want to call it court biased, so I won't call it biased. And we haven't had a decision yet. But courts seem to be so political.
I already know.
So great for our justice system if they would be able to read a statement and do
What do you guys got going for today?
I think it's sad. I think it's a sad day.
We're in the U.S.
Today, and it will be
I live in Minnesota. You know that. Where were you again? I thought you said you were in Florida or something.
One of the reasons I was elected was because of law and order and security. And they're taking away our weapons one by one. That's what they're doing. Okay.
I always want to go to Miami.
The president has been vocal in his criticism of the court-imposed stay on his immigration executive order, including last weekend calling the federal judge who first blocked the order.
Oh, Canada. Oh, wow, I was way off.
I found that to be stunning, that string of sound bites, Joe. Well, it's more than stunning. It is dangerous.
Wow, we're closer than you think. Vancouver's not that far.
It is dangerous when you have executives trying to denigrate the judicial branch and judicial independence. John Meacham, there is much to sort through.
Right now it is.
And those statements, all of them, again, deeply disturbing.
Where do you live, Stanley?
You know, I talked about how we have to sort through the things to worry about and things not to worry about. We all can't always be screeching up. You know, if he tweets at a movie star, that's just embarrassing. If he tweets at a department store, you know, that there are some more concerns there that ratchets it up a bit. But when you say what he said about federal court judges, it either is
I'm sorry.
an attempt to
I'll fall asleep.
credit them so he can strip them of power down the road, or it's complete ignorance of the system. He talks about a high school student.
Yeah, they are.
High school students could tell him that the Ninth Circuit is left of center. The 11th Circuit
I've never been there though.
center. These things it is a system of checks and balances that began with Madison and Hamilton. And presidents do not speak this way. And I saw you and I both quoted Jefferson last night in some tweets about
I'm so tired.
the extraordinary importance of judicial independence. It's not even a 230-year tradition. He's messing with here. It's 1,000 years. It's Magna Carta through 1689. I know that Mika wanted me to bring up Magna Carta this morning.
I know, guys.
I know. But you're
Should I
talking
sign
about
off?
one of the fundamental insights of the Western tradition is the rule of law, and how is law administered, but by an independent judiciary. During World War II, Churchill actually put the rule of law at the top of the list of what the Allies were fighting for. And and in our own time, and Joe, you remember this from your quasi-native region. But remember the billboards around the South in the 1950s said what? Impeach Earl Warren. Why did they say that, I wonder? Might have had something to do with 1954. And so Trump, as ever, the president, as ever, is playing with fire here. And it is something that, as you said, is more significant than a lot of the other brush fires of the day, because it goes straight at the question of separation of powers. Mm-hmm. It does, and it also, again, the historical precedents, Mark Alfred, are chilling. I don't even want to mention their names, but I will say some of the most dangerous autocrats of the 20th century. Yeah. Their two goals were to first undermine an independent judiciary, and second, to undermine a free press. This crosses a bright line that conservatives in my party need to start talking about and need to start pushing back on. What was particularly disturbing, I thought about yesterday, was he clearly was trying not to repeat what he'd done over the weekend. There were times in the remarks that we just showed where he did a stab and restraint. But this is separating, as you said at the top, the stuff that happens going to happen every day with the stuff that's serious. This remains serious. The judiciary's source of power as a co-equal branch is the most fragile of the three, because they have to be relied on, and everyone has to agree that their word will hold, even if you disagree with a particular decision. We're all holding our breath for this decision today, which I think in all likelihood will not be one the president likes, at least not in full. And we'll he's not going to like. Yeah. And this is what's so maddening. Does he have no one around him that can tell him, Willie, you're not going to like what the Ninth Circuit said? The second I saw it was in Washington State, I said, okay, well, you know how this is going to go? They ruled against him in Washington. It's going to go to the Ninth Circuit. They'll rule against him in the Ninth Circuit. Then he'll be kicked in the Supreme Court. And most likely, he wins 5-3, even in the 4-4 court. Maybe even more than that. But for him to say all the things that he said yesterday, again, deeply disturbing, because he keeps talking about how they're political, and he's trying to set them up for blame if there is a terror attack, which there is absolutely, positively no evidence that we're facing an imminent threat right now. Well, he actually said that explicitly a few days ago on Twitter. Remember, he said, if we're attacked, blame this judge, blame that appeals judge up in Seattle. Right. And by the way, there hasn't been a decision yet. He's attacking a decision that hasn't happened. But as we all know, this is his default reaction to things. If something's not going to go his way, if somebody insults him, he goes after the legitimacy of the source. It's one thing when it's the media, you want to come after us, that's fine, we'll keep doing our jobs. But when it's the independent judiciary, that's something else entirely. And now, President Trump's Supreme Court big Judge Neil Gorsuch is voicing his concerns over the president's rhetoric toward the judiciary. Judge Gorsuch met with senators on Capitol Hill yesterday, and Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal revealed what Gorsuch told him behind closed doors. My strong hope is that he will be more vehement publicly. He certainly expressed to me that he is disheartened by the demoralizing and abhorrent comments made by President Trump about the judiciary. A spokesman for Judge Gorsuch confirmed to NBC News that Senator Blumenthal's version of the conversation did take place and that he did use the words disheartening and demoralizing. So Judge Gorsuch is not backtracking.
No, I mean, obviously, Blumenthal, a key Democrat, and Mike Barnicle, but Republicans may need, because we talk about this being day 20 and it being exhausting for everybody involved and concerning and stressful, but it's also day 20, and at some point, these repeated remarks about Putin, the repeated attacks on our judicial system, they're not mistakes anymore. They're not jokes anymore. Even lying about the murder rate, it's the act of creating a reality that is not real, that perhaps...
Mika, can I throw one in for you, Mika?
Sure.
Let me give you another one. Where you have a raid that military sources tell me was bungled in Yemen, military sources, and they also tell the Times and they tell other people that. And then you have the White House saying anyone that questions the success of the raid is denigrating the life and the death, of the man who died in that raid.
Including John McCain.
Yeah, including John McCain. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I know there's a steep learning process. I just want to say this is dangerous language, just like it's dangerous language when you say that somebody has betrayed America because they don't interpret your version of law the way you want them to. You have what you call court decisions outrageous. These were the words of autocrats. I'm not assigning any intent.
No, but you have to look at
At this point, I'm just going to say it's sloppy.
life
But it's got to
day
stop.
20.
And it's got to stop now. It's got to stop now.
Well, Joe, on the last point that you raised about the Silky 6 raid in Yemen, I don't know whether Sean Spicer or the administration is aware of the fact that there are after-action reports. That's what they call them, after-action reports on every contact situation like that in the war, in every war. And the after-action report will be clear, it'll be brutal, and it'll be honest, it'll be truthful. And so we'll get a good reading on the exact status of that raid as soon as that after-action report becomes public. But on the point that you raised earlier, I think you hit a key element of it when you indicated whether anyone around the president is talking to him about this behavior, because this behavior is more dangerous than dynamite. It's an effort to delegitimize the judiciary, just as it is an effort to delegitimize the media. Both efforts are unfortunately, sadly for us, having some relevance out there in the country. It's taking hold of it, and it's really and truly dangerous. I'd be interested, Joe, in what Robert Costa has to say about that. He's been around the White House covering it.
Yeah, Bob, I wrote a column about this in your paper a couple of days ago about the federal judiciary. And Donald Trump's been a businessman. He's been on TV. I'm sure he's had a lot of tough fights with courts. And it's one thing to attack judges when you are a businessman. It's quite another to attack federal judges when you're president of the United States. In my reporting, I don't know the person that goes up to Donald Trump and says, you can't attack federal judges. I don't know who that person is in that inner circle that would actually do that. Do you?
There's this whole conversation about who can go up to Trump and who can tell him what to do. Based on my reporting, President Trump has been a punch you in the jaw populist his entire career. Public negotiations through public theatrics, fighting constantly to improve his own position. And there's an expectation privately among some people around Trump this morning that this is not only not going to stop, it's going to probably escalate. And he actually relishes playing with the judiciary. He relishes saying, this idea of these kinds of mandates because of the election, and he thinks these fights are very much warranted. So this idea that it's going to all quiet down, I haven't seen evidence of that yet.
To what end? what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Try to strip the judiciary of power after there's a terror attack? Try to suspend parts of the Constitution after there's a terror attack? Is it to what end do you fight the judiciary? The Ninth Circuit is the Ninth Circuit, as I said. They are left of center. It's predictable how they're going to rule, just as it's predictable how the 11th Circuit is going to rule. They're going to be right of center. This is our system. It has been our system for 240 years. Does he not understand that? Or does he hope to change that system fundamentally?
He's hoping to upend the dynamics. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think the way this plays out is if you look at his entire career, you've studied it, Joe, as well. He delegitimizes opponents. He's more relentless than any of his opponents, and he will bully them until they relent. And that's just what we've seen for 40 years from Donald John Trump.
So, Casey Hunt, Democrats are clearly setting up for a fight. Elizabeth Warren looks like she's leading that battle right now. We're going to get to that later. You interviewed her. Republicans also, given this conversation,
Yeah.
and we're talking about the sanctity of our Constitution and of our institutions that, create this country and run this country. I have to ask how Republicans are feeling on both sides of the aisle about how they move forward with someone in power, their president, who is speaking in a way that could threaten the very foundation of this country. And I'm not overstating it. We are having an open line coming into the first 100 days, but at day 20, when things are repeated 3 or 4 times that are so beyond the pale and into the area of frightening, I have to wonder the kind of position that Republicans in the House and the Senate are in.
I think a key test for President Trump today is going to be how does he or does he at all react to the fact that his Supreme Court nominee is coming up, meeting with people, and saying that these comments are disheartening. Will he say, move forward, say that's okay? Will he come out and condemn his own nominee? I think that there's a real test in there, and I think that he is putting Republicans on Capitol Hill, and even some people who are trying to help him get his agenda through, who are, working with his administration behind the scenes to try to accomplish all of this. He's putting them in a very difficult position here because I think they all do really want, they're invested in the system that has been built, and they don't want to see all of these pieces shattered this way. And then I think the flip side of it is for Democrats, look, Chuck Schumer wants to get stuff done, but the climate that this is creating is the temperature. I keep feeling like there's no way it can get any more intense, but it keeps rising. And at this point, I think, the activist Democratic base is going to prevent Democrats from being able to accomplish anything here. And I think it could lead to a real stalemate that is potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
And Mika, we're hearing, obviously, from a lot of Trump supporters who want him to succeed, who want him to stop picking these constitutional fights, who want to see him move forward with regulatory reform, with tax reform, with health care reform, with immigration reform. Again, that is the stupidity of this, and it's the only word you can say. It is the sheer stupidity of the fact that the courts will end up most likely supporting the president, because as I have said from day one, and Jonathan Turley said from day one, these are the sort of issues when you're talking about the border, if you're talking about national security, and you put those two together, that the court, the Supreme Court, usually defers to the president, except in extraordinary situations. The more he talks, the more he attacks, the more extraordinary he makes that situation, the more he hurts his case.
I'm in agreement with you.
So I don't understand. There's so many people that want him to succeed that I talk to every day. They don't understand why he picks fights with federal judges, let alone Nordstrom's. If I was Nordstrom's, they just prefer not to have a constitutional
there's a little ethical problem with that. And I think his Trump supporters are willing.
We'll
get to that. We'll get to that. They're willing to overlook certain things for now.
Right.
I will tell you, I hope it's stupidity at this point. I'm banking on that. Because otherwise we're in really big trouble. I'm not kidding.
You know what I will say? Good for Judge Gorsuch for saying what he said and not backing away from it. I think this is a time where speaking out, if you're on Donald Trump's side against Donald Trump, may come with a cost or penalty. And if you listen to Blumenthal's account of it, he said Gorsuch stated emotionally and strongly his belief in judges' integrity and the principle of judicial independence.
We need Republicans with backbones. We need rhymes.
Conservatives have always believed, Mika, that we are a constitutional republic, that we are a nation of laws, not a nation of men. They have wrapped themselves in the Constitution of the United States for years and years and years. It is time that they start expressing that again. Because now, more than ever, conservatives need to show America and the world who they are. And it all starts with a Constitution, checks and balances, separation of powers, a strong judiciary.
Up next, we're going to get Casey's interview with Elizabeth Warren after she was rebuked by Senate Republicans. Also ahead, Republican Senators Ben Sasse and Rand Paul join us, and Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal, who had that candid conversation with President Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court. All ahead. But first, Bill Cairns tracking the winter storm. Bill?
Everything's on schedule, Mika. We have a nightmare morning commute from Philadelphia all the way to New York City and now moving through southern New England. Let me show you some of the pictures coming in on the roads and on the highways. Interstates on like 78 and 80 and after the Pennsylvania Turnpike, this is what you get. It's snowing pretty good, and you have a coating of snow out there. But now it is really going to start accumulating fast. We have 55 million people that are under winter storm warnings or advisories or blizzard warnings. The temperature in New York City is down to 30 degrees. It was in the 60s yesterday, and now we have snow starting to accumulate around New York City, even the metropolitan area. Out on areas of Long Island and also in southern portions of New England, that's where we have the blizzard warnings that are up in effect. In Philadelphia, you were too warm last night. I've lowered your snow totals. You're now expecting only about 2 to 4 inches. D.C. and Baltimore, it's now turning over to snow from rain. You did have a little burst of rain, and then it was over to snow just recently. But again, that's why I'm only saying about 0 to an inch D.C. and Baltimore. Once you get to northern Maryland, that's where you get some of the accumulation. I mentioned a drop Philadelphia down to 2 to 4 inches. Still holding on to 8 to 12 in New York City. I'm leaning more towards the 8-inch total there, but out towards Long Island, some will find up with 12 to 14 inches. And as the storm explodes today, the heavier banding snow will be in areas of Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and areas around Boston. And look at these totals. Easily a foot